Well, hello everyone and happy Monday. It's digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Before the Four, the live stream where I talk about 48's top news stories and then some before the 4 o'clock newscast. I hope you all had a tremendous weekend. You did something fun. I went out to the Huntsville Havoc game this Saturday. Unfortunately, they did not get a win. I was definitely rooting for them to do so, but they were no match this weekend for Peoria, so hopefully they can get back into the win column against Birmingham to close out the season. Always love those in-state rivalries. But wherever you're watching Before the Four today, first, welcome. Whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or the 48 Now live stream, as always, I have to say it. Thank you so much for watching and spending just a little bit of your Monday afternoon here. We have quite a bit to jump into today, so I say without further ado, we get things started. And let's begin in Florence, where a man has been arrested for murder in connection to a deadly altercation at a Florence bar that happened earlier this month. Officials say the Florence Police Department said an incident happened between Jeremy Benson and Brandon Davis, who were allegedly involved in a verbal altercation at an establishment within city limits. Police say the altercation escalated when Davis punched Benson, and Benson allegedly struck his head on the concrete. Benson died on March 21, 2025, as a result of those injuries. Officials say Davis has been arrested for murder and is currently being held without bond in the Lauderdale County Detention Center. He will be pending an Anaya's Law hearing. We are not sure when this Anaya's Law hearing will take place, but it will be later on. Make sure you stick around for 48 for all the latest on this ongoing situation. But now in Coleman, where earlier today we learned that a former bank vice president is facing federal charges in a multi-million embezzlement scheme. Former First Community Bank Vice President Kelly Johnson is accused of embezzling nearly $2.5 million starting in 2013. Now, according to the indictment, Johnson conducted unauthorized automated clearinghouse transactions to pay personal expenses. The bank discovered the alleged crime in 2023 and went to the authorities. First Community Bank told 48 that it suffered no financial loss and that no customers' accounts were ever accessed. Johnson was removed as a bank employee. Her arraignment is set for April 24th at the federal courthouse in Huntsville. But now in Huntsville, where a man was indicted and arrested for the murder of a Hazel Green doctor. Dr. Bobby Newbell was killed in a car crash near the intersection of Drake Avenue and Memorial Parkway back in August of 2022. Online court records show George Cortez was indicted for his murder a little over a year later. Cortez's indictment was only recently made public following his arrest in December. Cortez is still being held in the Madison County Jail without bond, and jail records show U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, has a hold on him. Dr. Newbell was retired for about 4 months before his death, according to his obituary. Prior to that, he operated Hazel Green Family Practice. But now, let's take a look at the weather for this week on what you can expect. Last night, the Shoals saw some flooding, and we all saw some severe thunderstorms across the Tennessee Valley. 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis has everything you need to know as we dive further into the work week. Brad?
Well, we got beautiful weather for the rest of this week. No rain in the forecast till Saturday. Saturday, Sunday could be pretty unsettled. We're going to be watching that throughout the rest of the week, but no reason to worry about that right now. Enjoy the weather. 67 right now in Huntsville. About 10 degrees warmer tomorrow. It is 70 out in the Shoals. This just after 3 o'clock this afternoon here on a beautiful Monday. A lot of pollen out there tonight, and the temperatures slowly falling back into the 40s. But overall, really nice weather. Here's that 3-day forecast. How about 77 tomorrow, 72 Wednesday, and 73 Thursday. We do have a weak frontal boundary coming in here Tuesday, but it just doesn't have any moisture to work with. So expect just a partly cloudy sky. But overall, really nice weather. But a lot of uncertainty regarding the timing and the strength of storms that could emerge as we go into the weekend. We'll be talking about that over the coming days.
Well, thank you, Brad. Now, the immunity hearing for former Decatur police officer Mac Marquette is all set for tomorrow morning. Marquette is currently facing a murder charge for the shooting death of Steve Perkins back in September of 2023 during a tow truck repossession. His defense team is arguing that Perkins brandished a weapon on the night of the shooting and that the officer acted out of self-defense. If Marquette is granted immunity, he will walk a free man. If not, the case will go to trial. 48's Noah Cowell has all the details for tomorrow's immunity hearing.
Mark McDaniel, a longtime defense attorney, says the only thing between Mac Marquette and standing trial for murder is if his defense can provide a good case on Tuesday. If they can prove more likely than not that Marquette had a reason to believe Steve Perkins was trying to kill him or someone else, then the criminal case ends there.
Anytime where the defendant, where a person has a burden of proof, especially when you've got a homicide, it's not an easy thing to prove for the defendant. They got a video, they got the tape, they've got witnesses, and it's up to the judge to decide whether or not the defendant meets that burden of proof by a preponderance of the evidence, which is the lowest form of proof that you can have.
McDaniel says he's seen many cases like this reach immunity hearings. While he says anything can happen on Tuesday, in his experience, immunity is often denied and left up for a jury to decide. Considering that experience, McDaniel told me he's interested to see if the defendant will testify Tuesday. McDaniel says he would probably put his client on the stand if he were a police officer like Marquette, but he admits that can be risky.
If you put a defendant on the witness stand at the immunity hearing, that's just like putting them on at the trial, because you got a transcript and they're taking it down and they're testifying. So if there's something that comes up at this immunity hearing that could hurt him during the trial, then that would be devastating to the defense.
Well, last week, Alabama lawmakers passed a grocery tax cut to help relieve the rising price of groceries for Alabama families. Last Tuesday, Alabama's House of Representatives passed 4 Republican-sponsored bills totaling $192 million in tax cuts. And one of the bills would cut the sales tax on groceries from 3% to 2%. The bills now head to the state Senate. Noah Cowell tells us more.
Cutting the Alabama grocery tax has been a trend in recent years. In 2023, it was cut from 4% to 3%. And now, if the state Senate approves this newest bill, shoppers will save even more on their groceries starting in September.
It's a tough time for a lot of people, and so we wanted to do what we could to help.
Garrett, who is a Republican from Trussville, sponsored this year's bill. He says after that cut 2 years ago, the plan was to leave the tax rate alone until revenues recovered from other sources. But Garrett says with grocery prices rising, it couldn't wait. And even if this new cut goes through, Alabama will still be charging taxes on groceries, one of only 10 states in the country to do so.
Most of that sales tax on groceries is at the local level. That's why we gave the ability now for the locals to reduce that if they want to. Hopefully one day we'll get to the point of no tax on groceries. But even with that grocery tax, when you look at all taxes combined, we're the lowest tax state per capita in the country.
Paul Condra works at the Star Supermarket in Huntsville, and he says this may just be a cent difference for every dollar you spend, but he knows the benefits will show for everyone over time.
You know, here we're going to cut the costs on for you to feed your family, and I think that's the most important thing that they could address. I really believe that it will have a progressive effect. That it'll lead, the 1% will lead to hopefully cutting it from 2 to 1, and then even taking it all out.
In a bit more exciting news, major upgrades are soon coming to Huntsville's Von Braun Center. The VBC just celebrated its 50th anniversary, and leaders are celebrating with some renovations to the well-loved space. From Broadway shows to concerts, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, the Huntsville Havoc. Like I said, I was just there this past Saturday. The center, it's truly a hub for all things entertainment here in the Rocket City. Now, in the past few years, they have completed renovations to the south and east halls, but they just received city approval to begin work on an over $4 million kitchen renovation to expand their catering services and update the space. Right now, the big focus is the Mark C. Smith Concert Hall. A few years back, the VBC brought in Broadway executives to see what they could do to secure some bigger Broadway shows in the Rocket City. They are currently expanding the concert hall with larger loading docks, larger dressing rooms, and a completed steel rigging system. 48's Claudia Peppenhorst spoke with Samantha Nielsen on these upgrades. Take a listen.
Our team at Broadway Theater Lead, they do a great job. They're already letting know the executives that they're in contact with that these projects are underway and slated to be done for the next season. So I don't have any exciting details, shows to announce, but they are aware that we're pushing that. We just celebrated turning 50 last week. So a 50-year-old building, it's seen a lot of events, it's been in the community. Everybody has been coming since they were kids to adults, now they're bringing their grandkids. So not just from an administrative side, it's exciting for the community to see the upgrades and the love that's being poured into the building still.
And it truly is some exciting stuff. I can't wait to see some of the awesome Broadway shows coming in the near future. But now, coming up after the break, we'll talk about a former NFL standout coming back home to speak about mental health, a North Alabama man turning 107 years young. We'll talk about that in a super inspiring story for your Monday. You're just not going to want to miss. And also, I see I have a few comments on Facebook here. I haven't checked YouTube. I'll check that after the break. But Melinda said, hey, Melinda, how are you doing today? Hopefully your Monday is going nice and smooth. And Johnny, hi, how are you, Johnny? Now we're going to head to break, but I'll see you all in 1 minute. Well, hello and welcome back to Before the Four. You just heard it right there. The two-time Super Bowl champion Trey Flowers made a stop in Huntsville yesterday. Trey Flowers, who played 7 NFL seasons, 3 for the New England Patriots, 3 for the Detroit Lions, and his final season for the Miami Dolphins in 2022. He returned to his hometown of Huntsville, Alabama yesterday to lead his 2nd annual mental health symposium at Alabama A&M University. It was all in partnership with his foundation, Flowers of the Future, the Player Coalition, and Alabama A&M. Flowers attended Columbia High School here in Huntsville, where he shined on the gridiron. 48's Cam Durr got the chance to speak with Flowers, who says when it comes to mental health, it's not about the destination, but the journey. Take a listen.
You know, everything starts with the mind, so I think it's one of those deals where we gotta just continually be aware, continually speak about it, and you know, continually work on it every day. So it's not really focusing on the product, focusing on, you know, the goal, but more so focusing on the journey, allowing me to be present, just, you know, able me to, you know, whatever it is, whatever the situation is, not think too high or low on it, just be in that moment. I just think overall it's been very beneficial for me.
And you heard it there, very wise words from the one and only Trey Flowers. Awesome, and I said yesterday, I meant Saturday. Saturday, Trey Flowers was here, so a little correction there. But now staying in Huntsville, there was a big birthday celebration yesterday for a man here in the Tennessee Valley. John Drake was surrounded by his family and friends to mark his 107th birthday, 107 years young. This party was held at the Indian Creek Primitive Baptist Church. Drake has 11 children and many more grandchildren and great-grandchildren. 48 was at the birthday party yesterday, and we asked how the young man, how he was feeling. Take a listen.
I feel special in many, many ways. I've come a long ways to get to where I am today. And I'm thankful and grateful and thankful the privilege and the friends and neighbors that I'm surrounded by on today.
A super sweet story there. Now, one of the most popular spring destinations in Madison County, it's back and open for business. Hubert Family Farms in New Market has now officially opened for the 2025 Tulip Festival. And in just 5 years of putting it on, the Hubert Family Farms Tulip Festival has become the place to go for photographers, social media influencers, and flower lovers alike. Yesterday, the farm hosted the Kids Market, where young students learned about running a business by taking over the farm. We spoke with owner Seth Hubert, who says he's amazed by the turnout.
It's crazy, man. This is our 5th tulip season, and I think yesterday we had the biggest crowd that we've ever had on a day on the farm. I think it speaks volumes to the community we live in, for one, and then the area is growing like crazy.
Super pretty flowers there, without a doubt. And you can learn more about the Hubert Family Farms Tulip Festival right now on our website. Just go to WAFF.com. But now, in a bit of state news, let me switch over to the desk cam here. Now in a bit of state news, after a weekend filled of celebrations, the city of Montgomery concluded the 60th anniversary of the Selma to Montgomery March with a reenactment of the final leg of the march. Emma Ellis reports.
We're here to march all the way to the Capitol.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." Those who walked in the reenactment of the last leg of the Selma to Montgomery March were inspired by the words of Dr. King and other civil rights leaders.
We need to unify, we need to come together, and we need to have more activity for the kids.
Diana Drummond agrees with him. Her mother was a foot soldier in the original Selma to Montgomery March. That moment was so powerful for her, she was inspired to share this history with her great-granddaughter.
I had to bring her. I had to bring her on this occasion. Yes. And it brings tears to my eyes, make me well up a little bit when I think about it.
She believes by teaching her great-granddaughter history, she's equipping her with the tools to become a leader.
And I want her to make this Montgomery, Alabama, a better place. I do, and America a better place.
Marchers walked all the way from the city of St. Jude Catholic Parish to right here at the Alabama State Capitol, just like civil rights leaders did 60 years ago. For many, this walk made them feel connected to leaders of the past and appreciative of the rights for which they fought.
I'm in awe because I look at how far that our people, our ancestors walked and to try to get voters right and try to get everything else. So it's very important to us that let everybody else know that everybody needs to vote.
Well, now heading into the good side, today you'll meet a high school senior in North Dakota teaching his fellow students the true meaning of perseverance. And trust me, you'll learn a lot from Zeke too. Local News Live's Jody Kurtzman introduces us.
This might be Zeke Kratinger's favorite part of the school day, because in this weightlifting class, Zeke is just like everyone else. He gets a little help from his buddy Isaac.
He helps me with lifts.
But while it's Isaac's job to help Zeke, he says Zeke has actually helped him.
If you can work this hard, then yeah, I can step it up too.
Zeke's determination and joy are contagious.
He just has the biggest heart. He never complains. He's always happy. He's always smiling.
Joy seems to follow where Zeke's at.
Life hasn't been easy for Zeke.
Yeah.
He was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. Several years later, that diagnosis was changed.
So his diagnosis, it's ataxia telangiectasia. It's It's a neurological disorder, affects multiple systems, so it's a degenerative condition.
None of that keeps Zeke from living each day to the fullest.
I persevere through the hard times.
Some things might be a little more challenging for him, but you never know it because he's just so grateful to be there.
He is grateful to have won a state championship.
It was really neat to see how fired up he was in this.
Last year, Zeke and his teammates took first in the state Know Your Faith competition.
He's always made us proud.
Zeke is proud to be a Trinity Titan. His dad says this photo of two friends helping Zeke to the football field for a group picture
With their arms around Zeke and helping him. And
shows the impact Zeke has had on his school.
they're not intimidated by him. They're not intimidated by his disability.
And in a world where so many things are out of his control, Zeke knows the one thing he can control is his attitude. Zeke chooses to be positive and joyful every day.
Good.
His family hopes Zeke might inspire others to be the same.
There's joy in whatever your situation.
In Dickinson, I'm Jody Kurzman, reporting for your news leader.
And he certainly inspired me. Zeke's story is so great. I had to share it with you all. But now let's head into the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscast. The latest on the flooding out in the shoals from last night's storms. 48's Aria Pons will have more on that coming up. Speaking with Fort Payne residents and city leaders on their public swimming pool closing for a second year. 48 Savannah Sapp will have more on that one. And finally, a Huntsville homeless camp that sadly burned down last year, now set to reopen. 48's Callie Neese will have those details on the camp coming up. And these are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscasts. And I think we all know what time it is now. Of course, if you are new to Before the Four, you might not know what time it is, but the tried and true, the day ones, you all know what time it is. And of course, that is time for Facebook fun. That's right, our 48 Facebook question of the day. What is your go-to coffee order? And me, honestly, I do not really have a go-to coffee order. If I am going to get coffee, it would probably be a mocha latte, I believe, at Mickey D's at McDonald's. But I am more of an energy drink kind of guy. So it's Red Bull, Celsius for me. But I know a lot of you watching at home, you drink coffee and you have a go-to order. So if you didn't get the chance to comment on the Facebook question of the day, feel free to comment here on Before the Four. What is your go-to coffee order? And let's see what you all had to say. Thomas said, the one I make at home for 37 cents. That is right, coffee prices can get very pricey. Nothing like grinding up your own coffee, just 37 cents. Save money that way, without a doubt. Thomas, thank you so much for commenting. Awesome comment there. Lauren said, the strongest I can get with some espresso shots. Lauren, I definitely understand where you're coming from there, without a doubt. Espresso, I think I got a double shot of espresso one time, and my heart was racing. I was super high energy. I was all over the place. So, Lauren, I definitely understand where you're coming from there. Thank you so much. Let's see what else you all had to say. 7 Brew. That is a good place right there. Large ice blondie, extra sweet, and caramel drizzle. That honestly sounds so good. Like, I think I'm going to have to try this. And it looked like there were a couple people who responded to Amber's comment here who said they had one and they loved it as well. So you all are hyping it up. I think I'm going to have to go up to 7 Brew. I think I'm going to have to make my 7 Brew debut, without a doubt. Amber, thank you so much for commenting. Mike, good Lord, what a coffee order this is. Grande, half calf, quad. These are words I can't even pronounce. So, Mike, I'm just going to take your word on this. I'm not reading all of that. Wow, he's got the 1.5 pump caramel, the 3/4 oat milk. Wow, that is in order if I've ever seen one. Mike, thank you so much for commenting. A very, very funny comment there. And then Emily, iced caramel macchiato with almond milk or coconut milk. I've never had a macchiato, but I know a few people who drink them and they love them. So I might eventually have to try one of those. I don't know. It's hard for me to get off the energy drinks, honestly. I'm just so used to gravitating towards the Celsius to start my day or a Red Bull. I hear I need to go a bit easier on those Red Bulls without a doubt, because there is a lot of sugar and a lot of caffeine in there. So honestly, maybe coffee would be a good switch for me. But everyone who commented on today's Before the Four or today's 48 Facebook question of the day, thank you so much for commenting. It always makes my day reading y'all's comments and seeing what's on your mind. But with all of that said, that is just about it for today's Before the Four. Thank you all for watching this fine Monday afternoon. I hope you all have a great rest of the night, great rest of your afternoon and evening. Enjoy tonight's evening newscast, and as always, thank you so much for watching. You all have a great night.